Alright, so hello and welcome to this walkthrough on how to install the Azure CLI on an Ubuntu or derivative-based system. So what is the Azure CLI? The Azure CLI is a cross-platform command line tool that you can install on either Linux, Mac, or Windows, and allows you to execute administrative commands or Azure resources. So for example, if you wanted to create an Azure App Service, an Azure Storage account, and of course, if you wanted to get some information about a specific resource within Azure. Now, there's a lot more that it can do, but we're not going to cover it all in this particular walkthrough here. Finally, you can even bundle up the commands in a script file and then just execute those commands together instead of issuing them line by line in the terminal. So what are the prerequisites? As you can see on my screen here, just make sure you have the apt Ubuntu Debian installation method selected. And if you head over to the overview section, you need to be running an LTS version of Ubuntu, so 1804, 2004, or 2204. Now, there's nothing stopping you from trying to install it on other version, but as indicated here, it hasn't been tested. I mean, it's been tested on these particular ones, but it hasn't been tested on something else. So there might be a stability issue that you might run across. When we switch over to the terminal, we will check the version of Ubuntu we're running. Yeah. Okay, so there are a couple of warnings before we get started that I want to bring to your attention. First, if you're running an older version of the CLI, please make sure you update it eventually. If you're going with the tutorial, through the tutorial with us, what you want to do here is you make sure that you execute the following commands here just to get rid of the old package. If it was bundled up with 2004 and 2010, just make sure you remove it. Otherwise, you're going to run into an issue later. And all right, so for installing I guess just keep these warnings in mind here. These are very important. Otherwise, you're going to run into issues. So yeah, but there's two installation methods we can follow. The first one is you can fetch an install script and just execute it. And then you have the other one, which is a step-by-step installation process. I'm going to option for the second path, which is a step-by-step instruction, just so I can see what's going on. All right, so the commands and the installation process will most likely change over time. And so what I'm going to do is I'll leave a link in the description box for this Microsoft documentation so you can reference while you're following along, but also in the future, just in case something does change. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we want to do here is just make sure we check, as I mentioned earlier, the Linux standard base and distribution information. So what we can do here is just go lsb_release-a, and it will give you an information about your system. Now don't mind what distribution I'm running. So I'm running Pop! OS, but it is a derivative, or it's based on Ubuntu 2204. The latest LTS release, so I should be good. You should see something similar with 2204, then you should be good. 2204, 1804, or 2004, then you should be good. Okay, I'm going to jump back over to I'm going to grab the first command. So we're just going to grab this, we're going to get the packages needed for the installation process. So I'm just going to copy this command, navigate back to the terminal, Control-Shift-V, just to kind of paste it, press enter, enter my password, and I'll just click yes. All right, so that's the first command done. So we'll jump back over here. We'll download and install the Microsoft signing key. So I'll copy that and we'll navigate back over to the terminal, Control-Shift-V, enter, and navigate back. Now we need to add the Azure CLI software repository. So we'll copy that and navigate over, paste it, enter, and again navigate back. And now we're just going to update the repository information and then install the Azure CLI. So we'll copy that and navigate over. And it should go through the installation process here. Give it a couple of seconds, and it should be good. So if I clear this and I go AZ, I believe this version might be wrong. There it is, actually. So if you issue this command and it gives you this output, that means the Azure CLI has been installed. So again, I want to bring your attention here to a specific section. If you run into an issue, so as I mentioned earlier, if you had Ubuntu 20.04 installed and you installed the previous Azure CLI and you get into this particular issue, no module issue on Ubuntu 20.04, then you probably didn't remove the older version. So just refer back, remove the older version, and then go through the installation process again. And there's some other information here to troubleshoot any issues you might come across. The other thing I want to bring your attention here is in the future, let's say you wanted to upgrade the CLI. It has like a command built into it that has AZ upgrade, so you can use that one to upgrade your Azure CLI. And that's pretty much it for this walkthrough. I hope you found it useful, and thank you for watching.